Hollywood likes to pretend it knows how to control danger, that every explosion is calculated, every stunt is choreographed, every risk is signed off by an army of professionals. But in the summer of 1982, on a dusty movie ranch called Indian Dunes just outside Valencia, Los Angeles learned the truth the hard way, that all it takes is one moment, one decision, one push too far, and the line between movie magic and real-life tragedy disappears completely. And when that happens, this town does what it always does. It calls it an accident and hopes the word is strong enough to hold back the truth. The project was Twilight Zone, the movie, a 4-part anthology overseen by some of the biggest names in Hollywood. One of those directors was John Landis, a man riding the kind of hot streak that made studios throw budgets, crews, and entire stages at him without hesitation. After Animal House, The Blues Brothers, and American Werewolf, he wasn't just successful, he was untouchable. And on a set where a director that powerful wanted things bigger, louder, and more spectacular, almost no one felt brave enough to push back. The scene he was shooting that July night involved Vic Morrow, an aging actor trying to recapture his career momentum, carrying 2 young Vietnamese children through a shallow river while explosions erupted behind them and a helicopter hovered overhead. On paper, it was meant to be a gut punch of a moment, a horrifying vision of war that would shock the audience. But behind the scenes, the risks were obvious. The helicopter would be flying dangerously low, the pyrotechnics were intense, and the children, 7-year-old Micah Din Lei and 6-year-old Renee Shin Yi Chen, were never legally allowed to be there at all. California's labor laws were crystal clear. No child actors could work at night, none could work around explosive effects, and no minor could perform any stunt that exposed them to direct danger. But the production bypassed the permit process entirely, using false names on call sheets and keeping the children's presence quiet to make sure no state inspectors would show up. The parents were not properly informed about the real risks of the scene, the proximity of the helicopter, or the intensity of the explosions. It wasn't just negligence, it was a chain of choices designed to get the shot without anyone asking too many questions. Warnings came early and often. Crew members expressed concerns about the helicopter's low altitude. Pyrotechnics workers flagged the size of the blasts. Some people on set later testified that the entire setup felt unstable and rushed, like everyone was pushing forward even though nothing about the stunt felt under control. Multiple accounts, affidavits, and testimony would later say that Landis repeatedly called for more powerful explosions, even after effects crew members cautioned him about the danger to the helicopter overhead. When the cameras rolled, the stunt crossed the point of no return almost instantly. The explosions went off behind Morrow and the kids, bigger than some members of the effects team believed they should have been, and the shockwave struck the helicopter's tail rotor, destabilizing the aircraft. The chopper lurched, dipped, and then spiraled downward. No one on the ground had time to react. In a matter of seconds, the helicopter crashed into the riverbed directly on top of Vic Morrow and the 2 children. The impact and the spinning rotor blades killed all 3 instantly. Everything stopped. The explosions, the shouting, the lights. For a long moment, the entire set stood frozen, staring at the wreckage, trying to process what had just happened. And then the chaos began. Emergency crews rushed in, officials arrived, and Hollywood moved into crisis management mode, trying to figure out how a major studio production had ended in unimaginable tragedy. Warner Brothers issued statements calling it a horrific accident, a freak occurrence, something no one could have foreseen. That language wasn't unique to this production. It was the standard playbook used whenever a Hollywood set turned deadly. But the investigations that followed made one thing painfully clear. This wasn't a random twist of fate. It was the result of ignored warnings, illegal decisions, and a production environment where pushing harder mattered more than slowing down. The National Transportation Safety Board found that the helicopter lost control due to the effects of the explosions. The California Labor Commission uncovered that the children were hired illegally. No permits, no legal clearance, no adherence to child safety laws. Testimony from multiple crew members said they felt pressured to move ahead despite discomfort, and records showed missed safety meetings, communication breakdowns, and a general culture of rushing to get the shot instead of stopping to reassess. Then came the criminal case, the first time in Hollywood history that a film director and his crew were charged with manslaughter for a stunt gone wrong. Landis, along with 4 others, stood trial in 1986 and 1987, accused of reckless conduct and willful disregard for safety. The prosecution argued the stunt violated state laws, safety guidelines, and basic common sense. The defense argued that the crash was an unpredictable chain reaction, not criminal negligence. After months of testimony, the jury acquitted all 5 defendants. It didn't declare them blameless. It simply ruled that the evidence didn't meet the legal threshold for criminal conviction. Inside the industry, the acquittal didn't erase the truth. People knew the warnings were real. They knew the kids should never have been there. They knew the helicopter shouldn't have been flying that low above explosives. And they knew decisions were made that prioritized spectacle over safety. But Hollywood has its own way of dealing with guilt. Instead of admitting fault, it folds the story into the phrase, tragic accident, and keeps moving. The families of the victims later sued and reached financial settlements, but those agreements came wrapped in confidentiality, a reminder that silence is one of Hollywood's most valuable currencies. It protects reputations, it shields studios, it lets careers survive even when lives are lost, and it reinforces the system that allowed the tragedy in the first place. The aftermath of the Twilight Zone disaster forced changes in the industry. Studios strengthened stunt guidelines. Child labor laws were enforced with sharper teeth. Sets were required to conduct formal safety meetings, and productions had to hire dedicated safety officers. But even with all those reforms, the deeper issue never fully disappeared, that in Hollywood, ambition often races faster than caution, and the pressure to deliver the next great moment can eclipse everything, even basic safety. That's why the 1982 tragedy still echoes through the industry decades later. It wasn't just an accident, it was a warning, ignored until it was too late, a reminder of what happens when powerful people push too far, when a crew is afraid to push back, and when the need for the perfect shot becomes more important than the people standing in front of the camera. In Los Angeles, the line between illusion and reality has always been thin, but on that night at Indian Dunes, the illusion shattered, and the truth came crashing down out of the sky. The official story called it an accident. The evidence told a different story, and the people who were there know exactly what happened. A stunt pushed past its limits, warnings silenced, laws broken, and a tragedy the industry tried to wrap in soft language so no one would ever have to take responsibility. Because in this town, the show must go on, even when it shouldn't.